Planned Brotherhood is not affiliated or associated with Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is the registered trademark of Planned Parenthood, Federation of America, Incorporated.
It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. The sun would shine, the candy bars, Kool-Aid flowing like wine, the comic books, the TV shows, the bubble gum, the kitty cat.
Speaking of Facebook, didn't you have something about school?
I don't put on Facebook that like I'm going to school, and I don't make Facebook comment. I guess I've made the occasional comment about like if I think of a joke that has to do with taking a test or something.
Yeah, I didn't mean to imply that you do any of those things.
No, I know, but I'm just saying differently. Like I don't know. I'm more ashamed than anybody else is for going to the community college that I go to. Like it embarrasses me. I'm 28 years old, but I'm not even close to the oldest guy there.
No, and that's reassuring for me, let me tell you. Because if it's embarrassing for you to be 28 in community college, it's embarrassing to be your older brother and never having gone still.
I feel like once I'm going to a real college after 2 years, then I'll feel better about it. But we'll see. I feel like I would fit in more at a trade school, even though
You don't have a trade?
yeah, these hands were not made for learning a trade. Like
Bartending's a trade, isn't it? I'll bet it is.
not well. When I think of the trade school here in town, it's all stuff with your hands. It's like instrumentation, auto mechanics,
Gotcha.
stuff like that. I'm not cut out for 40 hours a week. That's another thing.
Me neither, as it turns out. 20 kills me.
And I have this huge sense of self-consciousness already at that place, and it's just you're walking around with a backpack and you're 28 years old, stuff like that, and there are a lot of younger people there, and I don't like to.
What's the hottie ratio?
Not high.
No. That's disappointing.
A lot of flaws.
Move to a bigger town, my friend.
Yeah. So I'm a little embarrassed being there, and I'm not the guy. The worst day for me is the beginning of every quarter, when it's like, what is my teacher going to be like? Are we going to have to stand up in front of the class or something like that?
Sure, that goes back to grade school.
Yeah. So now the classes I'm taking now is I have an 8:30 in the morning math class, and that's always a safe bet. Nothing's going to happen. I go sit down in the math class, and then we start learning math, and boom, that was my first day in that class. They call out roll. They call out attendance, and I'm always the first name called because of our last name, but you just say here and you're done. But then I go to my 9:30 class, which is English with Mr. Peters, and Mr. Peters looks like Nathan Fillion, and I'm not a Nathan Fillion fan.
So you hate him immediately.
And
I was not expecting this. You mean in build and age, everything?
yeah, he just kind of looks like Nathan Fillion.
Okay.
I told you later that he's Jimmy Pardo in Nathan Fillion's body. But when he first came in, it's like probably 9:20 or 9:25, and the whole class is in there already. And it's the first day. And he's like, just comes walking in, and he's got like a look on his face, and he's just like taking things out of his briefcase and setting on the table and moving something.
This guy's making a
has
production.
a problem with the computer, and he's not saying anything, and we're all just kind of sitting there. I'm like, God, this guy's a dick. And then he looks up and he's like, you guys can talk to each other. It's not 9:30 yet. I'm like, fuck, I got an app. Plus it's English, which is the class that I've been looking forward to. English composition, no less.
Yeah.
So then he pulls out the roll sheet and says Patrick Allers, and I
Pronounced it right?
yeah, and I was like, here, where are you from, Patrick? And
Oh,
starts
boy.
like fucking talking, and I'm the first one. Everyone else is prepared for it. I'm the first one. And then later on, he comes around with a digital camera, and he's taking a picture of each of us individually because our first test is going to be to learn everybody's names.
Oh, God.
And
This
have
is fucking
to,
grade school bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
The same
I know.
activities.
But since then,
I don't like Mr. Peters.
No, since then that class is great, and he couldn't be further away from an asshole. He's a crowd worker, and he's really great. He's really and it's a class where like I join in the discussion, like not a lot, not as much as some of the people in there, but I don't mind. Like if I think that I'm really onto something and no one else is getting, I'll always let someone else get it first. But if I don't think they're getting, or no one is saying what I think should be said, then I'll say it. Sure.
Well, that's admirable.
I'll jump in there. And he makes it comfortable. Mr. Peters, love that man. But
you guys high five buddies yet?
No, we're not close at all. Told me I was a good writer though.
That's
after
cool.
I turned in my first essay. And then my 10:30 class is Spanish with Senor Chama. And when he hands out the syllabus, it's very important that we turn to this one page and read this one paragraph that says that he's very authentic in the Latin American culture, which includes a lot of hugging and things like that. And if you're not comfortable with hugging each other, then this is not the class for you.
Holy shit.
I am so
This is not the class for me.
with hugging people and stuff like that. But I'm even more uncomfortable with like going through the process of dropping a class and getting another one late.
I don't even know how you do that.
And all that kind of shit. Yeah, it's just things I don't want to learn how to do. So I stick it out. No homework in the class. And he's also a really funny, really entertaining guy. But he pairs you up with random people in the class, and you have to do a situation. You're at a party and you meet someone, ask what their name is, ask where they're from, and ask them to dance. And you have to do this all in Spanish. You have to act this out with somebody else in front of the entire class.
You have to actually dance.
Yeah, I would have to ask someone to dance, and then you probably don't have to dance.
But the cool kids in the class would make that move.
But the situation is like at the end of it, you've asked him 3 things in Spanish. And he'll always pair you up with someone, and you have to do a certain amount in the quarter. I've still done none, and I'm going to lose a big portion of my grade.
So does he ask you and you just say, no, I'm using my get out of jail free card right now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, people are clamoring to do it because you have to do so many that they want to do it and get them over with.
How many do you have to do in a semester?
You're supposed to do 5.
Okay.
And we're over halfway through, and I haven't done any.
You're going to bang them all out in one day?
Yeah. But a lot of it is like he'll pair me up with someone, and it's fine. And, I'm just like, I can't do it. Let's not raise our hand. And usually the other person's fine with it. Now, there are... I really shouldn't be saying all that, especially with his name. What if someone from the class listened? But this is the class where there are a lot of young people in this particular class. A lot of running start high school kids.
Oh, so young.
Yeah, are taking Spanish at a college level.
Okay.
So there are a lot of like 17-year-old girls in there. And there are a couple in particular who are like super prissy 17-year-old, totally mall girls. You can tell they come from a rich family. They pull up in like crazy cars. And I feel like one of the older, overweight, almost 30-year-old guys who they're probably a little creeped out by. They probably make fun of the older people that are in school. Like, this is just my perception of them. There's one in particular.
Mine too. I'm not there, but that's probably what's going on.
Yeah. One of these girls in particular, I'm always just like, I just don't want to get paired up with her. Like, that would be the most uncomfortable. I just don't want to get paired up with her. So then this day comes along, and he pairs me up with her. And it's so awkward. Now, the thing about it is that, like, I really had to go to the bathroom. And so we had taken a quiz, and then when the quiz was done, I ran to the bathroom real fast. And the bathroom's right there off the room. So you can still hear him talking.
Uh-huh.
So I hear him while I'm in the bathroom pair me up with this girl. And so now I'm in the bathroom, and I'm like, fuck. It's like my worst nightmare imagine. So then I'm like trying extra hard to make sure there's no piss on my pants.
You got to.
That's going to be the worst. And then I'm just like killing time in the bathroom. And I was like, oh, just act really sick. So I go out there, and she's there, and she doesn't look happy to see me. And I'm just like, how's it going? And then he explains what we have to do. And I just look at her, and I'm like, you've done a couple of these, right? And she's like, yeah, 2. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to go up. I don't want to go up today. I was like, I'm sick. And she's like, oh, okay. And she was like, should we still practice?
Oh.
Like in case he calls on us? Like, she's being very nice and sweet. And I'm like, no, there's no point. We're not going to go up. So then we just sit there, not saying anything, for like 20 minutes. Just nothing. At one point, she just kind of puts her head in her hand and completely is turned around away from me. And I'm just sitting there. And then every now
You're not reading. You're not. What are you doing?
I'm like flipping through the book. I can't like pull out To Kill a Mockingbird because he's gonna wonder. And every now and then he's like, "You guys getting prepared?" And I'm like, "See, Chama." and at one point, she was like, "Oh, he's sick." And it was just so awkward.
It's awful.
It was so bad. And then
I can see myself. This is why I can't do it. That is the horrible. That is horrible.
It's really bad.
I'm sweating. That made me so.
Yeah, it was.
Just
really
imagining
bad.
that 20 minutes.
And you know what? Why didn't I just sit there and bullshit my way through just practicing? Well, I shouldn't have I shouldn't have stayed in the bathroom for so long. I should have just been like, okay, you're my partner. Okay, let's practice this scene. Do you want to go out? Nah, not today. That kind of thing. But no, I couldn't do that. Because it was my worst nightmare, it was like I had to make it as bad as possible. So yeah.
Now I know you can't answer this because she's 17 or whatever, but is this girl attractive?
Yeah,
is that part of it?
Yeah, that was the problem, is because like I'm making up in my mind what kind of girl this is, and she's like the pretty high school girl that got paired up with me. And then so after the situations. He'll always do like a video presentation, which are hilarious because he acts in them, or like a PowerPoint presentation.
Is there an option for me to just hang out with you one day at school?
It would be great.
I want to meet all these guys.
And so everyone just stays, like whoever they got paired up with, they just sort of stay sitting there throughout the video presentation, throughout the end of class. No, she got up and just fucking hightailed it out of there. And like I knew that she was probably over there giggling with her friends about it afterwards. And then I showed you, we drove by today. I showed you where I take my Spanish. It's across the street from the campus. So after that class, you know, that the whole class goes there and stands at the crosswalk waiting for it to turn green. So you can cross back.
So you went to the bathroom again?
No, I walked behind the building and walked down Nob Hill Boulevard and crossed over on 10th. I went from 16th to 10th and crossed over.
Oh, man. I laugh so heartily because, like, I don't go to school, but I encounter a lot of similar situations and would have done the exact same awful things.
Yeah.
I know when you're leading into something that the choice you're making is
it's
most likely.
autism, right?
It's some form.
Yeah.
It's some form.
I mean, I guess it's like you having to record that video at work. Like,
oh yeah, that was awful.
Do you think about it after? Like, there was another one where he paired us up at the end of one class, so we were gonna do situations the next day together, and he paired me up with a girl who was an undesirable. So I just by undesirable I mean one of those girls. So I was like, ugh. But I'm saying ugh on behalf of them. Like they don't. It's like, oh, they don't want to be paired up with me. That's the thing. So I just skipped class that
day. If I could skip work sometimes, I would.
Yeah. That's the worst, is having to go into work when you know that you have to work with, like, if I have to work in the bar with someone awkward that night.
Yeah, you seem to handle yourself pretty well. I mean, you've worked there long enough.
Yeah.
That's the thing about my job right now is I've only been there, like 2 or 3 months, and I hardly ever see anybody on the shift that I come in. Like, I come in and people are leaving, which I love.
Yeah.
But then on the occasional day where my boss does decide to stay until 8 or whatever, all interaction is terrible all the time. Now, fortunately, I'm not sharing a boss with my an office with my boss like I was. We moved offices, and now I don't live there that they're aware of. But it's a great office. It's 10 stories up. It's got a waterfront view. fridge fully stocked of beer all the time.
That's so weird.
It is weird, but everybody's super young. I've talked about how hip this place is before, and that's why I feel like out of place. Like everybody to me,
Is that
in
why
my
the-
scenario, is 17-year-old high school girls.
Yeah. Is your job the reason you would cry during the Facebook trailer? Because you feel like you're working at a hip internet company? Have we divulged that it's an internet company? We have, right?
Yes, it's a website that I work for. I have gone that far, but don't do too much research because I'm about to rail into one dude. Not really, but yeah, like there's a meeting that I have to attend every week. Like I come in an hour earlier on Thursdays to sit into this meeting, and the two other guys in my department are constantly fighting for the boss's approval. And I realize I just don't care that much about my job. Like they're putting in so much after hours time that they're not getting paid for because they really want to get this company in the right direction. And they're working fucking customer support. That's what I do for this company.
Yeah.
So like, and I guess one of the guys I actually do think is really funny. Like I've hung out with him once outside of work and it was okay. And for his Halloween costume for work, he wore these like white slacks and a powder blue t-shirt, and he had cotton balls stapled to it, and then he had a golfer's cap blue with the cotton balls. And I asked him if he was a cloudy day, and he said no, cloudy day with a chance of showers. Then he pulled out a squirt gun and shot me in the face. I thought that was pretty clever, and he did win best costume of the night award. But
Really, your priest outfit didn't cinch it.
Shut up!
It's a good costume.
It's not a great costume.
I like it.
I'm tired of it.
You know, though, it's like you said at Halloween. It's perfect because you just throw it on over whatever clothes.
Yeah,
you're
it's a
wearing.
gown. It's actually
Yeah.
pretty comfortable to walk around
Yeah.
in. Anyway, getting back to these meetings at work for a second. Like, she always like there's that awkward thing at the end where she turns to all three of us and asks us if we have any other questions or what have you taken away from this meeting. And I'm always the one that's just like, yeah, I mean, what those two said, like, I pretty much agree, and then I'll try and, like, single out one specific thing that I was trying to pay attention to the most. It's terrible. And she knows it. Like, she knows that I'm not a social dude and that I'm not good in those situations. And she's my direct supervisor, my boss, and she makes a big production to say hi to everybody every day when she comes in. She never says hi to me.
Really?
Yeah, she knows better. Everybody at the office knows better. I am that guy that nobody says hi to.
You're me.
Yeah, and I work, like, as soon as the guy that I do share an office with, he leaves as soon as I get there, I turn off the light in my office. I just sit in the dark. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I know how it's coming across, and, like, sometimes it'll be like, hey, I know you're still working, but we just got pizza. You should come and hang out with us. Like, they tried that in the early days, and I would never go. I would wait until everybody filed out and then maybe go grab a slice. But I'm working so intently. But I'm not. I'm skipping between Facebook and stuff and just listening for footsteps. It's terrible. I hate this job. I got to leave. I mean, everybody there is perfectly nice and fine, but it's not for me. I thought it was because the office is so cool, and I don't think office work is for me anymore. It's too stressful.
It would seem tedious to me. Like
It's very
boring.
tedious. I mean, the job itself is very tedious. I don't mean to say, like, I do a lot, like, oh, there's, a deadline, this is due by 4. None of that shit. All I do is answer emails. I'm talking about I'm stressed out every day at work just because of the guy I am at work.
Yeah.
The work itself I'm pretty good at, and it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But I can't get comfortable with those people.
Yeah. We have
Usually at the 3-month mark, which I think it's been, I would be comfortable enough or starting to feel that way. But no, I'm just making matters worse every single day. I wore the same shirt twice in a row. And I smoke pot sometimes before I go in, which is the dumbest thing for that job.
Dude. I can't do that
That's
at school.
That's
at
why
all.
I get so stressed out.
There's a really annoying girl in my math class, and our math teacher was saying something. She always speaks up and throws in something like, hey, did you guys cover this in your last math class? Yes, and I hated it, and I don't want to do it. Like, stuff like that. Like, just why are you taking up time? And
Trying to get the side of the classroom. I don't know. Like, is she?
yeah,
it's an attention grabbing
think she
thing.
just can't. Yeah, it's like an attention grabbing thing. he was talking about like intersections of graphs, and he was talking about if someone was paving like all of Main Street when it crosses with First Street, would they pave the intersection twice? And you're supposed to be like, no. So don't do it in math either. But she's like, and so everyone's like, no. And she seriously is raising her hand going, yeah, he would if he was retarded, though. A retarded paver would do it. he would do it if he was a retard. Like, oh my God, it's so annoying. I just remember that while you were talking randomly. I had to go back to that.
Yeah, I didn't know how that came
A
up.
retarded guy would do it. Oh, it's so annoying.
I don't say dumb things at work so much as I just don't say anything.
I also sit right behind a humongously fat lady, and she's got a shirt. It's like.
Well, thank God she's got a shirt.
It's like a corny old shirt from like the 90s or something, and I don't know what product it's advertising, but the catchphrase, the tagline for it is "Ride the Wave." So that's what it says across her back, "Ride the Wave." So it always reminds me about the joke of fat women where you slap their ass and ride the wave in.
Sure.
Yeah, that's funny. I wonder if she knows how funny it is.
She might. She probably doesn't.
Those are the people who, if I'm making fun of somebody at community college, it's the 400-pound, 40-year-old lady.
You're somewhere in the middle, right?
With like 6 kids and carries around their backpack on one of those rolling cart things behind them. Like those are, you always look at, like when I'm having money problems, I think about somebody like Car Guy Mike. You know, there's always somebody worse off.
Yeah. I try to remind myself of that too. Oh, one last thing about work. So this particular guy that I share an office with, we don't not get along. Like we've never had a stern word towards one another. But there's a lot of things he'd do. Like he's very passive aggressively shitting on me all the time, I think. Like it's, first of all, I think it's really weird. It made more sense when our offices were elsewhere, but we just recently moved. But when I first got that job, like he was the first guy I met. This is the guy in my department. He's going to be training me even though he's only been there 2 weeks more than me. But he knows the website really well and blah, blah, blah. And the way it was set up then, it was just like this big long table, and there were 3 computers set up, all facing the same way, and like we were sitting like elbows basically touching next to each other. So, you know, in the 2 months or so that I worked in that office, when we would happen to be working at the same time, he constantly just leans over and blatantly looks at my screen, and then is like, "Oh, you're in or whatever department, you know, or whatever thing I have pulled up." That'll probably give something away. I'll cut that out. But but I was like, yeah. He's like, "Oh yeah, I saw that ticket. I didn't get to it yet. I was going to. Thanks for it." I'm like, he's not saying anything like, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing this on the computer," because it almost always is work related. Because I'm watching. I mean, I am watching in my peripheral just to make sure he's not. I don't give a shit. He talks to his girlfriend on IM all the fucking time. Yeah. I don't like, yeah, I like goulash too. Like, I don't fucking do that to him. And he watches sports and stuff. Like, I know he does other stuff. So he's not trying to catch me with something, but I still think it's really invasive and uncalled for. And if I had any guts whatsoever, I would say something to him. But more than that, like, he cares about work so much. And so he works like, "Oh yeah, I was supposed to come in at 8 today, but I came in at 6:30. I just felt like, what? I'm not getting paid for it. I don't care. Why? I'm happy to leave right as 8 o'clock hits. I'm putting my coat on at 7:54. I don't care. I just don't have the passion for it. But he'll be off of work and it'll be a half hour later. And he lives at least a half hour away. And then he's hopping on the work IM, or you can see that he's logged into the work email or in whatever, you know, thing I have open. And then he's like, "Hey, how's business going since I..." Just fucking...
Talking to you personally?
Yeah, IMing me. I'm like, leave work at work, or at least just don't rub it in my face that you care so much.
Yeah.
And this is all coming across in my face every day. If I don't quit soon, I fear I'm going to get fired or laid off colorfully.
You've been down this road before.
Yeah,
Are you already taking it out in those emails you write back?
What? Huh?
Like you?
No, I'm very pleasant to all the
emails,
customers
right?
at all times. That's the thing about this is, like, all the correspondence is monitored by my supervisor. Yeah. Like if we get a chat or something, that transcript gets immediately emailed to her.
Yeah.
So I'm nothing but sunshine on the phone, everything.
If a manager has time to read the transcript of an IM, couldn't they just be doing the IM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for work again, I think, everybody.
Well, yeah, you gotta find something full time anyway.
Yeah. This underemployment thing's not going to last forever.
Dude, move here and go to my community college. We'll take classes together. I am taking classes with a few people, one class with a few people who I know next quarter.
Uh-huh.
So it'll be like the show community.
It'll be exactly like that. No, Yakima's not for me anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm done with it too. The only
You just
thing
bought a
is,
house.
I did not buy a house.
Let's try to be dramatic.
The only thing is having to do with that is how cheap it is to live here.
It really is insanely
It's
cheap.
Very cheap. And then I already have a job here, and I hate looking for a job.
Almost as much as you hate school
Yeah.
presentations and I hate work.
God, school is just such a means to an end. It really is like because I don't enjoy it, and maybe later when I can focus on a major and not have to, have all my classes be about one thing that I actually like. Who knows? Maybe I'll come out of my shell a little, but I for our first,
You're never gonna own the stage, PJ.
For our first essay that we wrote in my English class. Now, in the first couple of days of that English class, there was a lot of like reading short stories, and then like now you read this paragraph, total Bible study style.
Uh-huh.
And I would do that with no problem. I'd get through my paragraph just fine. But when we turned in our first essays for extra credit, it was like you get 3 extra credit points if from your desk, but to the whole class, you read the first and last paragraph of your essay.
Seems really easy to get credits in this class.
Yeah. That's for 3 extra credit
I have no
points.
problem reading publicly, I don't think.
But when it's something you write, it's a little harder.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. Never mind.
So like you would either get 3 points. If you didn't do it, you would lose 3 points. So that means that like if you read it out loud, you get a 95, but if you don't, you get an 89 on the same paper. Like that's a big difference. So yeah, so I did that, and that was pretty tough. My voice was I heard my voice shaking. But
what was your essay on at the time?
It was on the movie Smoke Signals. It was assigned that we had to write.
Oh, okay. So everybody's talking about smoke signals.
Smoke signals, yeah. But now I didn't know we were going to do this. I probably would have written my intro and conclusion much differently had I known, because I put a joke in the conclusion.
Oh, no. But you knew it was coming. You could have just skipped it. Nobody would have known.
No, because we printed off 4 copies of our essays, and we had to give them to people in the class. And then when we were reading that, he was projecting it onto the screen for the whole class. So you couldn't skip a word without them knowing. But the joke got a big laugh in the class, at least. And
do you remember the joke?
I can't explain it to you.
Okay.
It's too...
You haven't read Smoke Signals, Nick.
Yeah, it's too complicated.
Cerebral.
It was on the movie. But yeah, and then when I got it back, he wrote, ha. Yeah, well, I guess we really jumped around. There's an annoying guy in my English class, too. But he means well. I'm not going to...
Is he the one that gives you gifts?
No, that guy is in my Spanish class, and he's getting a little tiring, but he's still a nice old man. I've met one interesting character in every quarter of school so far who really like me, too. One was a girl who was obsessed with me, and this time it's just an old man.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That girl?
Yeah, how did that... We never talked about that on here either.
She leaves me alone. I see her.
You do?
Her
Do you have any
around.
classes with her this year?
No, thank God.
She was like basically stalking you, right?
For
Is that
like for like a 1 week period.
knowing you were married and shit, right?
Yeah, she was going through some tough times. She knows about this podcast. I don't know if she listens.
Oh, okay, my bad.
She saw the stickers and stuff. No, she was just a girl who, like, I would joke around, oh, this girl has a big crush on me, just because she would talk to me so much, but it was just kind of like a joke, like, look
I
how
never assume a
conceited I
girl...
am. Yeah, it was like
It's one of
look
those
how
things. I just...
conceited I am thing. But then it became like very clear that, like, Oh, I was right on the money. She had a big thing for me. And, yeah, you know, it's awkward. But when I see her, she just, I don't know. She basically looks the other way. It's fine.
You'd have to at that point.
And I happen to know that, like, she's almost done there. So I don't think I'll ever have to worry about having a class there.
Man, I don't remember anybody. I can't remember. It used to happen occasionally. A girl would have a crush on me,
Yeah.
and it would come out. God, that hasn't happened in years.
Yeah. This girl was a bad one to have a crush on you because she was very. I happened to sit next to her. That's how we, you know, ever started talking, and then we became in the same like group and did a presentation and stuff like that. But she would just always heckle the teacher during the class and like pretty loudly. And I don't want to be involved in. I'm not going to sit there and giggle with you while heckling a college professor. I'm trying to be low profile here. You know what? I'm not there to like fuck around and like make jokes and stuff like that.
So you wouldn't leave.
I'm there to get A's and eventually get a degree. Like I don't need a but this teacher would always be like, yell at us, and like me too, me included, because of the way this girl was being. It was ridiculous. She had bad breath. She would fucking talk and stink it up.
And plus, she sounds like a terrible movie date. Yeah, can you imagine her at a movie? Don't leave your wife for her. I've been telling you this since it happened.
No, but yeah, if I were to say to her like, oh yeah, so you had a huge crush on me, right? She'd probably say no. But the point is, she called my phone like 13 times in one night, leaving me voicemails and stuff like that, and just being very like. And then
did she blame it on drunkenness? Was she drunk?
Yeah, it just called me so many times though, and then like after that, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's so embarrassing," and I was like, "Yeah, hey, can you do me a favor and never do that again because." I have a wife who's wondering why you're calling me 13 times, like between the hours of 1 and 4 a.m.
Yeah,
I was like, you can't do that. Like, and she's like, whatever. Tell her we're just friends. And I was like, yeah, that's a lot to explain. You know, just try not doing it. And then like, I was talking to someone else about going golfing, and randomly, and so she just like jumped in. She was like, "Oh, can I go golfing with you?" And I was like, "Oh, do you golf?" And she's like, "No, I just want to go and like hang out and we'll drink beers while you golf and just." And I was like, "If you're asking me out on a date, the answer is no. We've been over this." Pretty irresistible. Sometimes women love me.
Yeah, I don't know. You do have a suaveness when you don't care. Like you nobody hearing that awkward school story about the high school girl would think that. But when you don't give a shit, you can be pretty charming. I've seen it.
Yeah. Plus, I like to throw ugly girls a bone sometimes. I think I hear a rat.
Don't say that, dude.
Well, it's not like you're sleeping down here tonight.
No, I was thinking about it. Throw some cardboard down. I get exhausted after my breakdancing. We could be done then.
I kind of want to talk really briefly, and this might be extra, but getting a lot of Facebook friend requests from Mom lately.
Oh yeah, you too, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, you knew what was happening with me. She doesn't have your phone number, but she sure knows your first and last name.
She doesn't know my physical address anymore either. So
no, neither does Dad. I was thinking about that today.
I am losing a lot of contact here. It's getting pretty great.
So does Mom leave messages with her friend requests?
With the first one, and it was...
All in caps? No, I just got an all in caps text from her yesterday.
No, with the first one, yeah, but no. And then it's just like, how many times, Mom, like, what's going through your head when you're like, are you saying maybe this time he will accept it? Or I just want to let him know that I still care? Like, what kind of statement does one make when repeatedly sending friend requests while getting rejected every time?
I don't know.
When does it end?
I don't know. She's trying every outlet, though. Like, she does have my phone number. I've not texted her back. She's getting more aggressive. Not aggressive. Typing in all caps does not make you aggressive, Mom. But I think this last one was an accident. She asked me something innocent like, have you gotten to see Melissa with your dad? Clearly, she doesn't listen to the show anymore. She has no idea what's going on with Dad and our relationship with him. But
Why didn't you tell me I'm resting my foot on?
how long has that been going on?
Wow. Shit. Thank God she's not listening to this show.
Yeah, I don't miss that part at all. And maybe that's why she's so accepting and trying to get you to accept her friend request. Yeah, I don't listen to the show anymore. I don't care what they're saying about me, and I don't think she does anymore. Like, she pretended to give a shit. I was a good mother. She knows she's not now. Although, if you accepted her friend request, I'm sure that'd be the first thing she tried to get you to like.
And the thing is that my Facebook profile is completely public. She can still go look at pictures.
I don't think mine is anymore. I don't remember why I made that switch.
I made mine available to the world. I believe it holds me back from getting as many Facebook friends as I should have. Nobody sends me a request because they can just go look at all my shit and then not have to worry about the awesome me rejecting them.
How often do you reject? I mean, aside from Mom.
Never, but
yeah.
that's what I like to think.
Yeah, I privatized mine once I got this job. Because they were like, hey, advertise our website on your Facebook and Twitter. While you're at it, let us know your Facebook and Twitter account. Send us a link. And I was like, I'm going to fucking privatize those as best I can.
Fight. It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time.